So growing up in the tiny town of Beaver Springs here in Pennsylvania, there wasn't a whole lot for my older brother and I to get into. And my parents took a pretty hands-off approach. You know, as long as we weren't like making bombs in the basement or doing hard drugs, mostly because those things sounded pretty expensive. So for whatever reason, when I was around 5 years old, my father decided to install this wooden posted basketball hoop on the east side of our driveway out in the country. It's not something my brother took to right away, but I was interested immediately. And when my father saw me trying to shoot the basketball like it was a bale of hay, he very patiently showed me the proper way to shoot a basketball, where you use your dominant arm for the ball to throw it, the other hand as a guide, and you make sure to get a nice arc on it for the follow through. And all I wanted was to make that hoop, to make the ball go in the hoop, because I really wanted to get that swish sound. Right. And so that's what I focused on. I didn't have to wait around for an adult or my parents or my older brother to play with me. It was just me and the basketball and whatever hoop I could find. And this was before anyone told me it was a team sport, by the way. So I got so into it that a few years later my father would measure out and paint a free throw line and a three-point perimeter line in our very slow driveway. It was also around this time that it was the heyday of Michael Jordan's NBA career, and I was a huge fan. I wanted everything to do with him: Wheaties, Gatorade, Nike if I could get it. My goal was to be a basketball player, to be 6'6", like Michael Jordan, and marry Michael Jordan. Typical goals for a little girl, right? So I get to be about 12 years old, and my mother takes me to the doctor for my annual checkup. And the doctor very kindly tells my mother, like I'm not in the room, that he says, she's probably not going to get much taller at this point, maybe 5'1", 5'2", and so for reference, 5'1", 5'2" is like right here. And so there goes the 6'6" goal. But it didn't take me long to come up with this other idea. I had remembered that as a family, my parents and my brother and I, we would get in the minivan and go to Harrisburg, where we would stock up on bulk items at this place called Sam's Club. And at Sam's Club, I had remembered last time we were there, they had a trampoline for sale for a few $100. And somehow I convinced my parents to let me buy this thing, go back and buy this thing with my savings. Because in my mind, we were going to set up that trampoline and I was going to use it to improve my vertical leap, to offset my shortness. Right? Also around this time, 12 years old, I was starting 7th grade, which was kind of a big deal because in our tiny school district, they combined grades 7 through 12 into West Snyder Junior Senior High, so we were thrown in with all the big kids, and it was a pretty anxious time. But my one solace in 7th grade is that we all had to take this course called Music Appreciation, taught by Mrs. Rita Griffith. And in Music Appreciation, Mrs. Griffith had these dozen or so old, dried out, student-sized acoustic guitars. And she would use that to teach us these first position guitar chords like G, C, D, E minor, A minor, enough to play these really relevant old folk songs, like what shall we do with the drunken sailor, what shall we do with the drunken sailor, what? 12-year-olds don't know what to do with drunken sailors. But it's enough to get a good taste of 6 strings and a block of wood. And she also taught us about the roots of American popular music, starting with blues and Robert Johnson, Billie Holiday and jazz, Woodstock, Richie Havens, Elvis, and the Beatles. The Beatles. It was like another flick in my brain. As you all know, the Beatles are like writing songs that you already know. If you don't like them, let's not talk about it. But I was immediately falling in love with the Beatles also, so I had this new love triangle of me, the Beatles, and Michael Jordan. And so I had just spent my savings on a trampoline and I couldn't buy a guitar. So, I resort to begging the parents until I could save up. So I get through 7th grade and I'm about to turn 13 in early July. And I think my parents decided to try to improve my social life by having a birthday party in our backyard on a patio with some cake and 10 neighborhood kids and my trampoline. Now, if you know anything about trampoline safety 101, you should only have maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 max people on that thing at one time. So at one point, there's probably all 10 of us on there at one time. And I'm jumping on there, and I think what I'm taking is a pretty impressive jump to show off my slightly improved vertical leap. And I come down, and I just feel my ankle snap. All the elasticity and buoyancy in the net was gone from all that gravity from the other kids being on there. And my mother, being the nurse that she is, just comes up, gets me off the trampoline and says, you're fine. And splints me up and ices the ankle, and I'm sitting on the patio, and my dad walks out with this guitar-shaped gig bag, and inside that gig bag is a dreadnought-sized K acoustic guitar. Well, you cannot play basketball on a broken ankle, but you can play guitar. And that's what I did the rest of the summer. I took lessons, I practiced. I taught myself Beatles songs. Within a few months, I was writing my own songs. But looking back, I have to wonder how it would have turned out without that specific sequence of events of the basketball, trampoline, and the broken ankle. If I would have had that time to actually realize what the guitar could do for me, without the distractions of basketball or school or the newly developed drama of being a teenage girl, to realize that the guitar could do things for me that basketball couldn't. My parents couldn't have known that. I couldn't have known that. No one could have known that. They did know that when I was very young, a lot of the school administrators had suggested that I be evaluated for autism spectrum disorder. And it didn't affect me scholastically, but we would later find out when I was diagnosed with a mild form of Asperger's that I would be affected by my ability to create and maintain human relationships. But when I got the guitar, that broke my world open. I was able to write songs to communicate all this crap inside of me that wasn't making sense out there. I was able to write songs, get in the music community, develop friends there, get the confidence to gain the independence to play my own gigs, go to college for music. I still play gigs to this day. And it just have to wonder how it would be without that physical, literal, and figurative break and pivot in my life at 13 years old. Just the other month, I was setting up for a gig not far from here outside, and I saw this older couple sitting at a table in front of me, and I didn't recognize them right away, but as I was getting ready to play, the lady walks up to me and says, "Hannah, it's really good to see you still playing." And that's when I saw who it was, and I said, "Thank you, Mrs. Griffin. It's good to see you too."